Quran or Sharia, you could say, and Sunnah. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to my wife, and she's going to continue to elaborate on this subject and talk about more tools that you can use in order to stay Islamically centered, inshallah.
So should I take that? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a pleasure and honor to be here, alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this gathering. Today, I hope you can hear me. Today I will be talking... Today I will be talking to you about the Islamic-centered family, the Islamic-centered family. I want to start out by saying no family is perfect, but we can strive and try our very best to be an Islamically centered family. Now, I am going to depict what subtle influences can do to a family. So I really want you to picture this, okay? It is winter, and you visit this family's home. Upon entering, you notice a happy holiday Christmas wreath on their front door. The mother greets everyone and excitedly shows all the guests her new Range Rover. The father comes downstairs from his office to greet everyone, where he was busy working all day to pay for their new luxuries. He is rarely home at night, as his job requires him to travel a lot. Both parents work, and this is a rare weekend where they are home on the weekend. Having the big, beautiful house and 4 luxury cars in the driveway is very important to them. The children are very busy achieving academic excellence to get into the top schools in the nation. So they're too busy to pray. The family also rarely spends time with each other due to attaining worldly goals. The television is on in the living room, and there are inappropriately dressed Bollywood dancers on the screen. During this visit, Asr time comes, and it's time to pray. No one gets up. You eat halal food and talk about worldly affairs with them. As you drive away, you wave to their teenage daughter, who's wearing short shorts, engulfed in her phone, posting her latest selfie. Did this family steer away from its Islamic center? Raise your hand if you think yes. Raise your hand if you think yes. Alhamdulillah, absolutely yes. Let's reflect. Academic excellence without Islamic knowledge and closeness to Allah. What is the real achievement? What? Yes, do you have a question, honey? Okay. What? Working long hours for material gain at the expense of your family. What is the cost? The television is a guest in your home that uses profanity, shows provocative images, discusses inappropriate content, yet we never ask it to leave. Why is that? Unfortunately, this is the reality of many Muslim families nowadays. This scenario mentioned above may be a family friend you know, it may be a cousin's family, it may be a neighbor's family, or maybe even your own family. This is not to pass judgment, but to show you how easily we can lose our center if we are not aware. Alhamdulillah. Now let's look at some statistics. I want you to really, parents, I really want you to look at this if you can. So if you can see, according to the FYA Institute, this study was done in 2015. Among Muslim college students, 48% of Muslim females have engaged in premarital intimacy. 28% of Muslim males have tried illicit drugs, and so on. And these are real facts. Absolutely real facts. So what do? How do we solve this problem? I'm going to make an analogy. So, sister, yes, you have it? Okay, great, excellent, thank you. So, if you look at your table, everyone should. I'm gonna make an analogy. So, yeah. You all have a peach on your table. Do you all see the peach on your table? Yep. Okay. So I want all of you to take a piece if you can. Just take a piece. Yes. You can eat it. You can hold it in your hands. Whatever you want. I just want to engage the audience, inshallah. Okay. All right. Yes, enjoy it. Please enjoy it. Bismillah. Okay. Okay. As you guys enjoy this speech, I just want you to take a look at what's left behind. As you all take a piece, a core, the seed is left behind. Like the peach, we all have a core inside of us. And that core needs to be strong. Do you all see the core inside, guys? Do you all see the core? Okay. If you want to have an Islamically centered family, you need to know what your core is made of. What principles make up your core? Your family's core. It has to be the guiding force. So how do we do that? How do we keep our core focused? How do we keep our core strong when we are affected by all these subtle influences? What is the process of change? Number 1, be aware. Number 2, look at all the variables involved when making a decision. Play the movie. Number 3, be principle-centered and define Islamic principles clearly. Good habits will be maintained. Better decisions will be made, hence a successful Islamic family. Okay. Now I will talk about the process in detail. Are you guys all with me, inshallah? Okay, thank you. So step number 1, be aware. Change your paradigm. A paradigm is how you see something, the lens you look at the world with. Change your paradigm and start seeing the subtle influences that may be affecting your families. Many people are extremely unaware of this inch-by-inch process. Awareness is always the first step. So start making this shift, families, inshallah. Step number 2, look at all the variables involved when making decisions and learn to play the movie. So what do I mean by that? Basically, you don't want to make unidirectional decisions. You do not want to make unidirectional decisions. Many of us have a tendency to look at one positive aspect of something, become biased, and make important decisions without thoroughly investigating all the other factors that are involved. We fail to look at the negative variables that also may impact the decision. It's like the halo effect. The halo effect is a well-documented social psychology phenomenon that causes people to be biased in their judgment by transferring their feelings about one dimension of something to other unrelated attributes. Now let me give you an example. So, let's say you're choosing a school for your child, right? We all have kids here, or most of us have kids. So you also know that as Muslims, it's encouraged to attain knowledge. So you look at one dimension, academics, and think everything else will be great too. You send your child to the best school in the nation. However, you forget to look at all the other variables, peer pressure, contradictory school norms, dressing, the school culture. Now, every day, your child is put in a situation where he or she has to constantly fight between maintaining his or her values and fitting in. Ya Allah, right? Hence, we must learn to look at all the variables involved. We need to ask ourselves, is this still the right decision with all the variables involved? Is this still the right decision with all the variables involved? Also, you need to learn how to play the movie. What do I mean by play the movie? When you make decisions, ask yourself, if I make this decision, what will happen a year from now? What will happen 5 years from now to my family or to my child? Do the benefits outweigh the cost? This doesn't just apply to education, It applies to our job choices. It applies to how we spend our time on a daily basis. Alhamdulillah. Are you all okay? Yes. Okay, inshallah. Step number 3. Be principle-centered. Know what principles make up your core clearly. Just like that peach, right? We all have a core. We all have a core. You need to know what your core is made of clearly. So a principle-centered person versus a situation, society, appeasement-centered person. According to research, when you're principle-centered, you make better decisions. You are more centered because decisions are always based on principles. Principles by nature are concrete, fundamental truths. It's not fleeting. Decisions are not based on fleeting emotions or fleeting life situations anymore. Decisions are not based on appeasement, good intention alone, or they aren't one-directional anymore. Basically, you're not in a constant state of reactivity, letting your emotions, situations guide you. Once you become principle-centered, you learn to make decisions based on concrete, fundamental truths, and that keeps you grounded. Individual actions aren't vague anymore, like a ship sailing with no sense of direction. Now, let me give you an example. Inshallah. Many individuals think, I'm going to be a good Muslim by praying, fasting, and giving charity. They think that will keep me grounded. That will keep my family grounded. But they slowly get trampled with society's demands, subtle influences, finding it very hard to balance life, steering slowly away from their values. When you're not principle-centered, you lose your sense of direction gradually or sometimes very quickly. Being principle-centered, you have a clear path to follow. Hence, your core rarely shifts. Or it's like an elastic band, right? If it does shift, it snaps right back. Alhamdulillah, because your core is strong. Furthermore, the principles itself cannot be cookie cutter principles, like honesty. I'm going to be an honest person. No, that's too vague. You have to go deeper, get very specific. It has to be concrete Islamic principles. And let me give you an example. Some concrete principles may include closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by worship and Islamic knowledge, attaining wisdom, mannerism, so learning the sunnah, right? So your mannerism can be correct. Service, making a difference in the world. Closeness with your spouse, closeness with your children, integrity, piety. Self-respect, inner peace, positivity. Now decisions are not based on bills, societal norms of having a nice car, getting a house by a certain age, work requirements, peers anymore. Don't get me wrong, it's okay to have nicer things in this world. It's okay, but not in the cost of your Islamic principles. Now your family is guided by clear principles. That is the key. Let me give you a clear example of how a principle-centered person would handle a real life situation. Are you guys ready? Okay. I'm feeling so angry right now. I had a long week. I feel like cursing to take out my frustrations. I'm not saying that's okay. This is just a hypothetical situation, kids, okay? Not real. So, you're going to stop and ask yourself, what principle is at play right now? What principle can help me right now? I know some principles that make up my core. One of them are piety, as we mentioned over there, and one is positivity. Okay, I'm not going to curse to maintain my piety and positivity. Negative action averted. Alhamdulillah. Do you see how this works? So you're following fundamental truths, not your emotions that are fleeting, not life situations because you had a long week that are also fleeting. Moving on. Remember, every day, every choice is a scene leading towards or away from your Islamic center. So number 1, as I said, be aware. Number 2, don't make unidirectional decisions. Look at all the variables involved, inshallah. Number 3, be principle-centered, as I just described. Number 4, have clear boundaries of what is right and wrong. Remember, it all happens inch by inch, right? Teach this inch by inch concept to your kids. Simply don't allow certain things just so your child will fit in. You have to be that role model. Teach your kids not to give into societal pressures. As I said. Further, as parents, don't put your children in situations where they have no choice but to fit in. Or their only other choice is to become an outcast. So don't put your children in these situations. Number 5, be aware of what's being normalized. Become aware of what's being normalized at schools, in society. Parents, everything is being normalized nowadays, and you have to be aware. Nowadays, put downs, drinking, drugs, provocative dressing in schools, this is all being normalized. You are actually looked down upon when you have emotions, or you have certain values, or even if you stand up for yourself, you're looked down upon. You are considered sensitive or an outcast. And this is going on in high schools right now. Teach your kids the following. Teach your kids to have values. And there's nothing wrong with you if you have values. That means you're awesome. Kids, that means you're awesome. Teach them to stand up for themselves. Teach them to speak up. Teach them to have the courage to speak up. Teach them to hold their position. Teach them that not to be an outcast with people before being an outcast with God. Moving on. Number 6, keep your relationship with God strong by worship and attaining knowledge. Keep your relationship with your kids and partner strong by spending quality time with each other. Connection builds by spending time. You then become the influence in each other's lives. So you have to make time for your kids. You have to make time for your spouse. Quality time. Build your children's confidence. And last, build your confidence. When you are confident and grounded, you can see, think clearly, and behave accordingly. No one can shake you, alhamdulillah. No one.
So we just had this last slide, just so you can ask yourself, what is our purpose? What is our purpose? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us what our purpose was. It was to worship Allah and to know Allah. Worship Allah and know Allah. This should be the foundation of many of our decisions, inshallah. And I hope that some of the tools we talked about, some of the concepts we talked about, brought some awareness, gave you some ideas that you can carry with you and maybe use when you try to make decisions and set priorities. And that you can recognize how to stay centered amongst this sphere of influence. So with that said, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
I have lots of questions. It's easy to explain or understand an adult or ourselves what is our purpose and how to follow. You try to teach a 4 years old, a 5 years old, or a 6 years old. It becomes very, very difficult. For instance, a 5 years old girl comes home. I want to buy shorts. Every girl is wearing shorts. No, honey, we are Muslim. We don't expose our body. We don't wear shorts. Do you ever see your mother wearing that, etc.? We are Muslim, okay? 2 days later she comes home. You remember that Pakistani girl in my class? She's wearing shorts. And my mom comes and they don't mind. She's wearing short skirt. Okay, I don't want to say they are, outright they're doing something wrong. But of course, I want to tell her, no, that is not acceptable. So I try to go around, look, people make different choices. Like, why can't I make that choice? Okay. Then the other child, look, we are Muslim. Our purpose is to worship Allah, to know Quran. Oh, it's so boring. I don't want to learn Quran. Can I be Muslim without Quran? And you look at the kids like, you're like pulling your hair out. Like, how do I explain in an easy way and still, and this is, I'm talking about kids who have been exposed to literally core Islamic values and no other dish or other television channels in the house or no other influences, and yet they question and it becomes so hard to explain it to them. My fear is I don't want them to say, oh, your religion and this thing is way too boring, it's way too strict. Why can't I have birthday parties? My friends got so many presents. And then you explain them the whole thing about birthdays, and yet with every birthday coming up, what am I gonna do this year for birthday? And then we don't celebrate birthdays, it's not Islamic. But so and so does that, and so do that, and they go to Chuck E. Cheese and they go there and they go to Pump It Up, and why can't I do that? It's just like, it's too much to, I don't want them to have this perception of this religion being too strict and boring, and you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Good luck with that.
That's a good one.
It's not easy.
It's a good question.
There's times where you just have to put your foot down. There isn't something you can say that they'll understand. One thing that, when I have to talk to my daughter who's older, that I will say is that this is not about us and people, this is about us and Allah. We're all trying to follow Allah. Some people make decisions that Allah doesn't like, but we try not to do that. We don't judge them, but we try to stick to our own values, and this is why we do it. You should be proud of that. We were meant to be distinct. If we resemble everybody else, then how do we influence them toward Islam? The concept of distinction, it might be hard for young children to understand, but us being different is actually something good. It's actually something that we should be proud of. And do you want to be like everybody else, or do you want to be special? It's trying to find as many positive words that you can use, because it is positive. It's not like we're trying to turn it into something positive. It truly is positive. We just sense it as negative because of the way it comes at us. And then there's the times where you just have to say, this is the way it is. If they don't understand the concept, that's parenting, So it's definitely not easy. The reason, we talk about this stuff is because we go through it too, and it's not easy. We're faced with it. It seems like every day you come home and things seem to be cruising along and everybody's on point, but then you come home and there's this big episode. Something happened on Facebook. Well, our daughter doesn't have Facebook, but had Instagram for a short period of time. And you have to respond to it. And a lot of it you don't see coming, But if you keep on falling back on your Islamic principles, you keep on falling back on the fact that distinction is a benefit. We should be distinct. When you're done. One last thing is just that I told my daughter one time too that all of these things that people kind of pick at you for, one day you're still going to be this strong person, and they're still going to be going through different things, finding it, and they're going to be lost, but you're still going to know who you are. Don't forget who you are to appease them, to appease somebody who doesn't know who they are. And I mean, I could go on and all the conversations I've had, but it's these kind of things.
Sure. I would recommend creating a love for Allah in your home environment when they're very young. So, like I have a 2.5-year-old. So I'll talk to him and I'll say, you know who gave this? So we'll be eating something like ice cream. And I'll say, you know who gave this to us? Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this to us. You know who he is? And I'll talk in those conversations. Or I'll say, I have to pray right now. And he'll come and try to, jump on me. And I'll say, I have to pray right now because I have to thank Allah, because Allah gave us all these things that we have. Oh, your monster trucks here? You know who gave that to you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know that? And so I have to thank him. So, creating that, just not saying, okay, you have to pray or you have to do this. You have to talk on their level. You have to even in psychology, they say it's when you talk to your children, you're supposed to talk eye level on them. You can't talk at them. So if you're having a conversation, you have to meet them eye level. If they're sitting, you need to sit with them and have a conversation. So same way, when you're teaching concepts of Islam to them, you talk in their language, right? Also, when you talk about events and activities that they can't go to, replace it with other fun activities, right? So they don't think that Islam is strict, because Islam, it's beautiful. Islam is a beautiful religion. It's everything in Islam is there for a reason. And if they can understand that concept on their level, then absolutely they can start developing that love instead of that fear, right? Or turning away from it because it's too strict, right? Because if you think about it, it's not that strict. We pray 5 times a day. Why? For protection. Why do we cover ourselves? Why? For protection, right? So if we make it in a way that it's, child friendly, they will understand. And we can also have a conversation about this personally, whenever, if you want to, in further depth, inshallah.
Any other questions?
I have one question. During the lecture, we discussed about the strong connection and bond. But I have noticed that if we talk Islam with any guiding these days, I think people either try or they stand up and read. So, how to do the right way of developing a good bond or connection?
Well, every once in a while, I substitute for like the Sunday schools. I'll sit in, and if a teacher called in, and one thing that I noticed, this is amazing, I just try it.